Domain expansion is hands down one of the most popular and hyped abilities that come out of anime in recent years. And it's not hard to see why. The sheer concept of being able to open your own pocket dimension and set the rules however you want is just flat out awesome. At the same time though, it kinda sounds familiar.
It's funny you should say that, because I was looking through some old photos and it looks very, similar.
Reality Marble basically did the whole domain expansion thing before domain expansion, and it never quite reached the same mainstream explosion in popularity, but you can't spot the clear influence on Gege Akutami's work, so naturally this got me thinking, between these two similar but distinct barrier techniques, which one comes out on top? In Jujutsu Kaisen, everything revolves around cursed energy, the power born from negative human emotions like fear, anger, and regret. The exact origins of domain expansion aren't fully explained, but it's heavily implied that the technique evolved from ancient barrier techniques. Okay, that's pretty obvious. Over time, sorcerers learned to combine these barrier techniques with their innate techniques that exist within every person, creating what's considered the pinnacle of Jujutsu. Every person carries an innate domain inside themselves, a mental landscape that reflects their deepest self, their personality, their technique, and their very soul. Domain expansion is the highest expression of that. The user creates a barrier, floods it with cursed energy, and drags that inner world into reality. Once it's up, their abilities get massively amplified, and most importantly, they gain the sure hit effect. Attacks simply manifest on the target with no way to dodge or block. The downside is the insane cost. Domain expansion drains cursed energy at an extreme rate. After using it, many sorcerers suffer from cursed energy burnout, where their innate technique becomes unstable or temporarily unusable. Most can perform a domain expansion a handful of times in a serious fight before needing time to recover. There are also several variants: full lethal domains built for guaranteed kills, non-lethal domains that impose rules or conditions instead of direct damage, incomplete domains that lack a fully realized sure hit effect, and advanced barrierless domains that abandon the enclosing shell entirely, dramatically increasing their effective range. The standout examples show just how versatile domain expansions can be. Satoru Gojo's Unlimited Void creates an endless white space that floods the target's brain with infinite information, overwhelming their senses until they're completely immobilized, while Gojo remains unscathed. Ryomen Sukuna's Malevolent Shrine forgoes the barrier altogether, covering an enormous area with relentless invisible slashes that dissect everything within its range. Higuruma's Deadly Sentencing transforms the battlefield into a courtroom where both combatants must participate in a trial. The Domain Shikigami Judgeman examines the evidence before delivering a binding verdict that can strip the defendant of their cursed technique, confiscate cursed tools, and in the most severe case, grant Higuruma the Executioner's Sword, a weapon capable of killing its target with a single strike. Now on the other side, we have Reality Marbles from the Natsuverse. Reality Marbles were originally only available to supernatural beings. For modern magi, recreating one is considered the second pinnacle of magecraft, second only to true magic. Normally, mages use bounded fields as simple barriers for protection or isolating an area. Reality Marble is the ultimate evolution of that concept. Instead of creating a barrier around the world, the user projects the landscape engraved into their soul over reality itself. This works through what's called the World Egg Theory, the idea that the universe was born from a single egg, or at least a being hatched from the egg who went on to create the universe. In Fate, everyone has a small world inside themselves, while the planet contains a larger shared reality. A Reality Marble temporarily flips the relationship between those two around. The real world is pushed aside, and the user's inner world expands to become a new reality over normal reality. For a few moments, everyone caught inside is literally standing within the person's mind and soul, where their beliefs, experiences, and very nature determine how the world functions. Because this directly contradicts the planet's natural order, the world constantly pushes back against it. Reality Marbles are fundamentally unnatural to the world, so they can usually only be maintained for a few minutes to hours before the world begins tearing them apart. Keeping one active requires an immense amount of magical energy, making them incredibly taxing to use. Just like other barriers, Reality Marble isn't simply a combat technique. Depending on the individual, a Reality Marble can summon weapons, armies, creatures, impossible environments, or even alter the rules of nature itself. Some users don't even need to fully deploy the Reality Marble to benefit from it, instead passively drawing on aspects of it, such as enhanced projection magecraft, the ability to summon familiars, or other unique abilities directly tied to their inner world. The standout examples include the Unlimited Blade Works, which creates a desolate wasteland filled with infinite swords, which the user can instantly reproduce and launch with perfect mastery. Iskander's Reality Marble summons thousands of his loyal soldiers onto the battlefield, each possessing strength comparable to a lower tier servant. Ars Polina manifests Solomon's Temple, a Reality Marble that exists outside the universe. Because death inside this domain doesn't count as death in reality, those slain within it can be restored as long as they have sufficient energy available. Nursery Rhyme is a little different. Instead of being a simple hero, they represent the very concept of children's picture books. However, they are also more than a simple Reality Marble. They are basically a Reality Marble that took on the form of a pseudo-servant. So they're basically a sentient Reality Marble. The similarities between Domain Expansion and Reality Marble are impossible to ignore. So now comes the obvious question, which one is actually better? Well, if we're judging them purely on fighting technique, Domain Expansion takes it. Everything about a domain is engineered to end the fight as quickly as possible. Once the barrier closes, the battlefield immediately shifts in the user's favor. Their curse technique becomes stronger, and their attacks gain a guaranteed hit property. Even rule-based domains sort of have a sure hit, as deadly sentencing will confiscate your sorcery if you're found guilty with no way to counter. Even if there are counters like Simple Domain, they just buy you time. You're still trapped within the domain. Reality Marble doesn't exactly have the same win con, but they're still dangerous depending on the nature of the inner world. Depletion Garden creates a landscape that steadily drains magic energy from everything around it. It essentially erases the power source that mages need to use their abilities. The Tori works slightly differently from other Reality Marbles. Instead of simply summoning the phenomena itself, its powers are derived from other living beings. It allows for the materialization of rumors and fears in a physical form. That said, Reality Marbles absolutely win when it comes to versatility and overall potential. A Domain Expansion is still tied to the curse technique. No matter how refined it becomes, it's ultimately an extension of the ability the user already possesses. And most of the time, a Domain Expansion is only built around destruction or killing the target as soon as possible. A Reality Marble isn't limited in the same way. Because it's the physical manifestation of the user's inner world, it can rewrite reality in more conceptual ways. One user might drain the life from everything around it, while another can make myths and legends physically exist, while another can embody every children's book that ever existed. Its limits are defined more by a user's soul than a single combat technique. One area that's surprisingly close is how you actually escape it. Domain expansions are generally more urgent to break out of, because the barrier is designed to keep you inside while you're being attacked 24/7 by the user's technique. You can overwhelm the barrier from outside, clash with your own domain, or rely on specialized anti-domain techniques. But simply running away usually isn't an option. Reality Marbles are different. Since they're forcing the user's inner world or reality itself, the world is constantly trying to restore the original state. That means they naturally collapse after some time. But the question is if you have the skills, endurance, or durability to survive for long enough. In the end, I'd give the edge to Reality Marble, because it represents a greater expression of what a barrier can actually become. A domain perfects combat by creating the perfect ideal environment to create a fight. A Reality Marble goes beyond combat altogether, turning the user's very existence into a temporary reality whose applications are limited by the nature of their soul. On top of that, the beings that possess Reality Marble are far more powerful than any being in Jujutsu Kaisen, which just shows how high the ceiling is for Reality Marble.